Hey guys, if you're here from the first part, I really appreciate you checking out the second part of this interview here with SoloRenektonOnly. And if you are from SoloRenektonOnly's channel, be sure to check out the first part of this interview over at my channel at youtube.com/doublewinning, and there'll be a link on the screen here. And so, where we left off, we were giving tips on Renekton, but I figured, you guys are from SoloRenekton. If you're from SoloRenektonOnly's channel, you probably know just about everything you need to know about Renekton. So I wanted to transition to more tips and tricks for kind of lower elos, which is something I specialize in. So I figured I would get your opinion on that. So you are a Diamond 1 Renekton player, and so he's proven to be even good at the highest levels of play. Of course, we also see him in pro games a lot. And so, would you recommend someone still play Renekton at lower leagues like Bronze and Silver?
Yeah, I think Renekton's a great champion to play. I think he's really basic mechanically, so he doesn't, it's not like a huge high skill cap like Lee Sin or something that you're gonna need to learn how to do all these crazy things in all these situations. I think if you have a general concept of how to use his abilities, he's a pretty easy champion to learn. He has a ton of sustain, high base damages, pretty much everything a bronze or silver player could want in a top lane.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. Yeah, so one thing that's really popular with a lot of bronze silver players I've noticed is they really enjoy kind of those cheese tactics, kind of like we were talking about before with the whole red pot era. Is there still any kind of cheese tactics that a player might be able to use to kind of get an advantage when they're playing in lower levels with Renekton?
Well, I think the biggest, this probably extends beyond Renekton. I think the biggest thing that lower ELOs do not do is use level advantage. I don't think they understand that, especially early game when you're getting a new skill with each level, how huge that advantage is. First of all, we're talking about like 500 gold worth of stats that you get when you level up. And when we're talking about like effective stats, obviously there's a lot of gold in there that's like HP 5 and that type of shit, but that's not too much. But you get armor, you get attack damage, some champions magic resist, all these stats from a level, and you get another ability. So it's really important to get aggressive with that. Like if you're a level up on someone, it's important to use that advantage. So the key thing that I do is I try and get a level 2 or level 3 advantage. So the simple thing is to hit level 2, you need the first minion wave to die, plus the first minion from the second wave. So a melee minion from the second wave. So all you have to do, clear the first wave, normally, whatever, just kill that first minion from the second wave slightly faster than he does. Then you're going to be level 2, he's going to be level 1. You have 2 abilities, doesn't even matter what you take. You'd have Q and E, you could have W and Q, doesn't matter. Just go use your abilities on him because you have 2 abilities versus his 1. So what is he going to do? There's nothing he can do. He's just going to lose the trade, and then you pretty much secure the lane from there. And it's such a simple trick, but I never see lower ELO players do it. And it's the easiest thing, and every lane can do it. Bot lane can do it, mid lane can do it, top lane can do it. Obviously jungle can't really do it, but...
Okay, wow, yeah. So that's definitely something that they can actually just go into their games right now and do. So that's really cool. I appreciate that advice, especially because it kind of lays out the map there. So if you guys, next time you guys are playing the game, look at your XP and you'll see, with that first wave plus 1 creep, you'll see that level 2, and so you don't kind of have to guess. Because I know a lot of people, if you haven't played, if you haven't really taken a lot of notice with the game, you might not be that good at recognizing how much XP each creep gives or how close you are to a level, but that's a very easy way, especially for the level 2. So if you guys want to try and employ that, especially with Renekton, because he is someone that really takes advantage of having that additional skill. So that'll be cool to see if people are successful with that. And so on a similar level, you said before that Renekton's a pretty easy mechanical champion, unlike Lee Sin, who you have got lots of dips, ducks, and dodges. So I know there are a few small things with Renekton. I know one of them, when you're hitting a tower, you can auto attack and then W right after for a second hit, even though it doesn't really use the skill. Is there anything else, little tips and tricks that you can kind of up your Renekton gameplay with once you've kind of gotten past the basics?
Well, all right. So I think the biggest thing that separates the good Renektons from the great Renektons is really how fast they can do their combo while still weaving in autos. So basically, Renekton can clip all of his abilities, can clip his auto attack animation. Basically, what that means is when you auto attack, there's a full animation, right? But the damage actually occurs midway through. So there's a point right then, once that damage occurs, after that, that's all just wasted time. So if you're good enough and you can figure out, I've watched Renekton auto attack thousands and thousands of times. Play 1,000 games. I've seen the auto animation, so I know the perfect time to use an ability to still get the auto damage, but to clip the wasted animation, to clip that wasted time out. So I think the best Renektons can and you can do that with all of your abilities. So your E, your Q, your W, all of them. And then once you add in like a Hydra and the fact that Renekton's W is a auto attack animation reset, there's some really amazing stuff you can do with clipping your animations and like shortening the like combo burst. Like once you have Hydra, I think I can do like my whole combo in sub 2 seconds while still getting auto attacks in, which is absolutely absurd because you get like 5 autos in and you don't even see me doing the autos. It's pretty nuts.
Wow, that's crazy. That could really make a huge difference because, you know, a lot of people I see will just E in, use their W without it. Like the most simple combo obviously would just be auto W, and a lot of people don't even do that. And so I can only imagine, you know, if you're like Eing in, autoing, Wing, you know, autoing again, Qing, autoing, like if you're weaving those in, especially, you know, you've got blade weaving, like that could add so much damage. So that's really cool. And if you guys,
I think the auto W one's probably the most important that people need to just understand because
it's free damage.
It should be instantaneous damage though. That's the thing. Like your auto W, the person could be running away, and if you're in auto range, it doesn't matter that you're using your W after. You should still be able to hit it because it happens so fast. It's auto W right away. Boom. You just did 3 auto attacks or 4 if you're empowered right away. You know, and then you auto again after, and then you Q. But those are like stuck together. So it's all like you're just sticking everything together. It's kind of similar to Riven, honestly. How you weave everything in, like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I've seen. I mean, it's like it's a lot of people commented, you know, how does Faker do so much damage with Riven? And if you watch him play Riven and slow it down, you'll notice he's doing exactly what you're talking about. He's canceling his animations. He's weaving autos in between every single skill
at the perfect time, so it looks like he's not even auto.
Exactly. Yeah.
Those are the most beautiful things to watch.
Totally. And so yeah, for sure. Like once once people have start getting down, you know, the basics of Renekton, that's definitely, if they want to kind of bring their Renekton up to the next level, that's something I personally really need to practice on, because sometimes it feels like, you know, I'm missing out on so much damage, and that's probably it right there. It's just I'm not weaving in enough auto attacks. So that's really cool.
This applies to every champion, so it's not necessarily every ability count like works this way.
Yeah.
But you have to test every champion, and you have to see if, like, even AP mids in mid lane, you know, if you auto and then you do an ability right after, it clips the animation. Like, this applies to every champion. It's all about efficiency in League of Legends.
No, absolutely, yeah.
As possible, you're definitely going to be the better player in a lot of situations.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Yeah, because I guess it just comes down to, you know, practice makes perfect, and kind of being analytical when you're playing, you know, making sure, am I being, you know, like you said, am I being as efficient as possible when I'm playing this champion? Yeah. Okay, very cool, very cool. So it's a little bit of a, you know, off from what we were talking about, from mechanics to more of a general, you know, team-based question here. So what are some good teams that you would personally pick Renekton into? I know earlier in the interview you were talking about how you can just pretty much blind pick Renekton into anything, but is there any, you know, teams that you would prefer to pick Renekton into? Do you prefer him as kind of like a strong split pusher, or maybe like the frontline tank, or even like just straight up AD assassin?
I think Renekton works in pretty much all comps except like poke-oriented comps, because he really doesn't offer very much for poke-oriented comps. I do think there's like other champions that fit better into roles. Like obviously Renekton's not a great engager, but he does have like decent engage or decent catch possibilities because he has long, you know, he could flash E and stun someone. So that's, you know, somewhat of an engage, but he needs a lot of people to follow up. So he's like really good with champions like Orianna or Jarvan, people who can jump in there and like start the fight up. Orianna because, you know, she puts the ball in Renekton and jumps in.
And then you just have a whole lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, when we talk about like split pushers and stuff, I think that really depends on if you're basically what you're going to do is you want to ask yourself, right, and ask your team maybe, can we win a 5v5, right? If you can't win a 5v5, there's no point in grouping up with your team because you're not going to accomplish very much. Unless you're looking for like situations where it's like 5 versus 4, 5 versus 3, you know, you're looking for catch opportunities with heavy warding, stuff like that.
Okay.
That can work. But I think you want to split push when your team can't win a 5v5, but you can still pretty much 1v1 anybody on the team. And during the mid game, I mean, there's not really any chance, unless you fed or something really bad. You should be able to 1v1 everybody, except Nasus.
Except Nasus OP, Riot, please.
It's Riot. But yeah, and then when you split push, it's really important to like get wards out. This is one of the things I see so many low elo players do. They're just like, oh, well, I'm going to go split push, and then there's like 3 guys top, and they're like, oh, nothing gets accomplished, and they get mad and they yell at their team. When in reality is, if you're split pushing, right, and you don't have ward coverage, and your team isn't like grouped and pressuring some other lane or some other objective, you're really not doing anything. Yeah. You're basically just baiting yourself into a death. Because yes, they can send 3 guys top and kill you, and what's going to happen? Nothing, because your team's not pushing anywhere else. So it's important to be split pushing at the correct times. You want to be pressuring. You want to be split pushing when your team's pressuring like mid or bot, or they're pressuring dragon or baron. You don't want to be just blindly split pushing. And when your team's not doing that, you just back up a little bit. You wait in a bush until your team does pressure something. I mean, I think lower ELO players don't understand how to split push correctly. And I think that's one huge area where they could improve.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the tips I give a lot of, because I do talk to a lot of lower elo people, because that's kind of my specialty there is helping out those people, and that's definitely one thing I notice is not only like I'd say like the most obvious one, I guess more obvious to you and I, would be just make sure you have your wards up so you can know to boot out of there when they start sending 3 people for you. But another huge one is just making sure your team's actually pressuring somewhere. If your AD carry is doing wraiths and your mid lane and jungler are getting blue buff and your support is dancing in the middle of mid lane and you're at the second tower down bot or top, you're gonna die, and you're gonna die for no reason. So
exactly.
You need to, and then of course you're gonna go ahead and blame your team, and maybe it is your team's fault for not pressuring there, but your death is 100% your fault there, because you need to communicate better. And if that means pinging the mid tower a few times and saying, what I've always said to people who are struggling with kind of leading in low elo is just explain it to them like they're 5, just like 4 people go mid, push tower, all split push bottom. Like, just lay it out for them, and they'll be like, oh, duh, that's so easy, like, duh. And then the moment they go for wraiths, you just do a little ping, and you make sure you don't actually click on them so they don't know it's you, and so you kind of have that...
spam ping.
Yep.
That's how I get my quarter.
Exactly.
I like the spam ping, though.
Yeah, and I'm sure for I would hope at higher elos, Diamond 1, people mostly know what they're doing, but I have also seen the horror stories of the Wood 5 plays at Diamond 1. So
it depends on the game. There's a lot of those that happen in every league. Really.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and so that's why I think at lower levels it is kind of more beneficial to kind of type it out, just because there are some people who legitimately have no idea how to close out a game.
I think at lower ELOs, if you just captain your team, you can win a lot of games that you seemingly would lose just by being that like leader figure.
Oh yeah.
I'm carrying my Smurf right now, and I find in games where I just spam ping and I tell my team what I want done, and they actually do it. They listen. People, they want to know what the right way to win. They don't know, but if you tell them what's the right move, a lot of them, most of them will, try and do it. Obviously you might have that, rage or toxic guy, whatever.
I'm Mordekaiser. I need 300 farm. It's like, no, you need to win the damn game. Like, come on. Yeah, and that's another thing is like when people are talking, when they're asking how do you lead a team, 2 biggest tips I always give is if you want to lead your team, it helps a lot if you crush your lane, because you're gonna listen to a guy who's 3-0 up against the laners who are 0-1 or 0-2. Like, that's just it's a lot easier to listen to him because clearly he's doing something right. Yeah, absolutely. And then also I've always kind of this may be more applicable at lower levels, but I've always thought any call, or like even a bad call, is better than no call at all.
Exactly. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, because I mean there have been plenty of times where there's one person will show bottom and we'll have 4 people top, and I'll be like, what, screw it, let's do Baron. We'll flap down a pink ward and we'll do Baron, and there'll be back pings, but if everyone just goes in and does it, I mean most of the time it's gonna work out all right, and if it doesn't, like you can work forward there, but the risk reward is definitely better to work as a team. So yeah, I absolutely think you're right with you just kind of have to lead as hard as you can, and then it really helps if you pick Renekton and then you just crush your lane.
Exactly.
All right, awesome. So speaking of getting crushing your lane, some things that happen, especially if you're winning your lane really hard, is you start to get camped, and maybe sometimes it happens before you can really set up that crush, because I know you were talking about one of your favorite things to do is just 1v2 against an enemy jungler, but let's say before you're able to hit 6 and you're really getting camped hard by the enemy jungler, do you have any tips like on what to do to kind of, I guess, just survive or even try and equalize the lane? Like when it's basically a 1v2 in your lane, what do you like to do?
Well, it's really important to understand that you're going to be behind. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, if their jungler is putting all of his pressure onto you, you're going to be behind. There's literally nothing you can do. You can't 1v2 before you're level 6. I mean, in certain situations, obviously you can, depending on the health and all that stuff. But, most of the time, if they're pressuring your lane that hard, you're going to lose the lane. Their goal of that game is to shut you down, right? So you just have to keep that in mind and keep your wards up so you know that he's there and you don't die to him. It's because it's important not to die.
Yeah.
But as long as you're missing, if you're missing some CS, that's fine. You're relieving pressure on your mid lane, your bot lane, your jungler knows he's not getting counter jungled. It's just important that you do not die. So save your E. That's one of the things I always say. If you do not know where their jungler is, you need to save your E. There's no reason to use your E if you do not know where the jungler is. The only times you want to get aggressive when you can really get aggressive with your E, is when you know where the jungler is. If the jungler's bot lane, then yeah, of course you can dive in there with your E and not have to worry about it. But if he's not on the map and you use your E, what's going to happen when he comes in 2 seconds later?
You're going to have a bad time.
Especially in top lane when it's such a long lane, you need your E. And honestly, I think when you're getting ganked with Renekton, what you want to do against, well, it's a little bit harder now because everybody starts with a free ward. But what I used to do a lot is I'd go into the bushes, right? Into like the last bush, and it's even farther now. And then wait for him to come. And then right when he gets about to face check me, I use my E through him, and then I use my second E.
Yeah.
And then that's one of the best ways to get away.
And then you just spam laugh a little bit.
Spam your back animation.
Yeah, on the pool party. There you go. That's what's up. That's what's up. All right. Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they're in that situation, I know I used to have this problem a lot. I mean, let's face it, it's solo queue. It's hard to have faith in your teammates, but sometimes, that's your only option. You have to say, okay, I'm gonna get crapped on this game. Let's try and minimize it as much as possible and hope that my team can clean up the slack. So I really like that. I think that's a really good tip. And maybe you don't win the game, just don't let it carry on to the next game. And next game you can crush them twice as hard.
You playing the best possible thing that you could do in that situation. The best thing you can do is just not feed. Like honestly, not feed and lose as small like. You want to be down by 15 CS, not 400 CS, Small margins of loss, when you're getting camped. And hopefully your team's going to win other lanes. Obviously, that's not going to happen every time, You can have that bot lane. Everybody's had that bot lane that goes open for 5 minutes,
Yeah, according
to happen. You can't do everything from top lane.
Yeah, of course. According to my viewers, that's every single game for them. So I mean, for sure. Like, you kind of have to. If you're down by 15 CS and you don't die, like you have to kind of put it in terms of their jungler spent 10 minutes top lane, and that's the reward they got. Hopefully, your jungle was able to maybe get dragon or something like that and kind of equal it out. So absolutely.
That's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah, and so I guess this was kind of this is a viewer question I got, and so I kind of laughed. But so it's kind of a weirder question. But jungle Renekton, what do you think?
They made my viewers made me do this before.
Oh no!
I did 2 games last season of jungle Renekton. Well, I did a couple more, but I recorded 2 games of jungle Renekton last season, and I think it was like okay. It wasn't that bad last season. I haven't really tried it in season 4, but I'm assuming it's way worse than it was. Like in season 3, it was like somewhat viable because you could get both of your buffs because you were getting a smiteless leash. So, Renekton's early game damage to those minion camps is pretty crappy. But you could do it before because you get smiteless leash. You do your red smiteless, then you go do blue and you smite it, and then boom, you're level 3 ganking. But now it's like you need to do extra camps and stuff. It's so much harder. Renekton, on paper, it looks like it can work, right? Because Renekton has a decent gap closer. He's got a stun. He's got AOE wave clear. He's got sustain for the jungle. He's got all this, but he's got all these things, but they're worse than like other junglers. You know what I mean? Like, he does all these things, but why would I want Renekton when I could just take Jarvan who does like the same things? He's got his gap closer. He's got a knock up, which is arguably a lot better than mine. Yeah, because he has a farther range. Champions like that. I think Renekton's probably like tier 5 jungler. Like yes, like it can work. I think if you get a kill, it'll probably be a little bit better. Like early game, if your first gank is successful, it can work. If your first gank is not successful, you're gonna have a pretty rough time because you're never that tanky. Because you hit mid game way later than you do if you solo lane. Oh yeah. Your gold is so much less too. I don't know. It's pretty bad. I wouldn't do it if I were you.
So you're telling me the secret to diamond is not jungle Renekton? Okay. Well, I guess kind of, with a more, serious alternative. Of course, top lane Renekton the most ideal, jungle Renekton the least ideal. What do you think about like a mid lane Renekton? Because sometimes we'll see, we've seen a lot of melees go mid, like Zed, and even like Wukong, kind of for the more alternate stuff. What do you feel about mid lane Renekton? Do you think that could possibly work out for you?
I've done it a few times and it works okay. I think it's best against melee champions for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a lot more trouble in mid lane against a ranged champion because you don't have the bush like you have in top lane. In top lane, you can avoid a lot of the damage from the ranged champions. In mid, you're kind of out in the open. The other problem with mid lane is like it's shorter lane, which is really bad for Renekton because he can't use his kit effectively to like get onto someone. Like by the time I get onto you, you're in like flash distance from your tower. It's different than top lane where I'm gonna get onto you and then I know I still have like, 2 flashes before you'll be at your tower or whatever. So I can actually have enough time to like burst you down and, do some of my sustained damage with my ultimate or something. I think against ranged champions it's hard. I did play against TF the other day in mid lane and that went pretty well. I'm not exactly sure why that went well. Every one of his Qs though. So that definitely helps.
Nice, yeah.
But I think you're definitely in a disadvantage playing mid lane as Renekton. I'd much rather just go top.
Okay, yeah, and I didn't really think about that before, but the fact that you can use like the bushes to kind of avoid range creep damage is that's a thing I hadn't really thought about with the terms of the benefits of top lane. So that's cool.
Just be like my play style though, because as you learn a champion, as you develop your own play style or whatever, I guess I might be like gipping myself because that's how I deal with ranged champions. Like that's the strategy I developed for myself with Renekton. It's like I'll use the bushes heavily and I'll use my Qs heavily. Then that's how I sustain through it. So I guess when I go to mid lane, it's something different from me. It's like, well, what the heck? How do I play against ranged champions? I don't know, because I can't do my strategy that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe it's just my play style. Maybe other Renektons can pull off the mid lane. I just can't.
The chosen one will come. The mid lane Renekton god one day. So you were talking about earlier how you've got your series where you're smurfing through basically back up to diamond from where did you start from bronze or?
Yeah, it was bronze 3. I tried to get bronze 5, but honestly I tried to lose my promo games. But even as a Vi, only 8 clicking on their base, I was still able to win.
Oh my gosh!
I don't exactly know how I pulled that one off, but yes.
So many viewers would be so mad that you actually couldn't get bronze 5 even when you tried. Oh man.
That's all the games do. I had a blast, but.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah. So I guess the actual question I was trying to go for here is so do you? I guess the two things are. One, do you find yourself ever really put on tilt by the negativity in League of Legends? And two, this is a question I get from a lot of my viewers, is have you found through the leagues the negativity, has it changed? Is it like the most negative at bronze and the least negative at diamond, or what are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, with the difference between each division negativity wise, I think that's all just stereotypes. I've seen just as much trolling in like top people in Diamond 1 as I've seen in Bronze, and and obviously I didn't spend that much time in the lower ELOs because I got promoted pretty quickly. But in my time that I spent there, I think there's enough ragers all around in the League community that you'll be blessed with them in every division.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I don't know. I kind of felt that lower gold was kind of like my elo heaven, because it was like these people have pretty much accepted that they're not going to hit platinum, but then at the same time they're like, well, I'm getting my season rewards, but at the same time, you can't control your teammates, so it's really not something you want to really go for. And so I definitely, I don't like to lead my viewers on and be like, no, once you hit gold, everyone's happy. Like, everyone's in such a...
I was like, oh, diamond, I'll be good. I'll never have to play with the bad again. That was something that was in my mind. Oh my god.
You open the door and it's just, no. Yeah, exactly. Oh man.
And then the first time I was playing with like pros and everything, and they were doing stupid crap.
I thought you were perfect. What is this?
Exactly. Like, yeah, you have these conceptions of these people, like that they're perfect, amazing, they do everything right. And even like when you watch streams, you're like, well, he might have done that wrong, but I know what he was trying to do, you know?
Yeah, you kind of cut them some slack.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Give them the slack, it's extra credit, you know?
Yeah.
But I think everybody makes mistakes, and they're not immune. They just make far less mistakes than other people do, and they make better decisions overall than other people, and that's probably why they're pros.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly what you're talking about. So like, what I've always thought is, the huge margins for error. There's like huge margins for error in like bronze, silver, and so if you just fix like the biggest of your problems, like even if they're like as simple as I don't buy a trinket, like bam, you're out of bronze 5, and then bronze 4, it's like I don't buy wards, bam, like you're in silver, and then like as you get higher, you need to grind the smaller mistakes down,
It's all about identifying your mistakes. That's probably the
yeah.
biggest thing.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, people need to look inward. Like, I think too many people are too quick to blame other people. I think what you should be doing is, all right, so say Ashe misses her ult, right? Instead of being like, Ashe, you're an idiot, you missed your ult, you should be like, okay, well, what do I do now that Ashe missed her ult? Because not
Yeah.
everybody's going to land an Ashe ult every single time. Like, you need to know what to do when people fail. Like I said before, not everybody's going to be perfect. Like, pros know what's going to happen when, all right, this guy misses his ult, let's back out now. Now let's not be aggressive. Not, all right, let's keep diving.
Yeah. We can make this work. We can make this work. No, you can't. Just cut your losses.
Age at the guy, oh, how the hell did you miss, your ult? And it's like, well, I missed my ult. I suck. Sorry. Don't fight afterwards. Like, don't compound my mistake. And that's something I see happens in the low ELOs. They like one mistake compounds on other mistakes. Like that, yeah, you hear it every once in a while. They're like, I think I can help mentality when one guy's getting caught out, and then the next guy.
Oh my gosh! Yep.
The next guy, and then all of a sudden you have an ace. And it's like, oh, what the hell did we just do?
And lo and behold, there's always the I can't believe you got caught. It's like, son, you went in right after me. Like, you should have just left me to die. Like, if it's a lot easier to defend a 4v5 than a 3v0. So, absolutely. So, I think those are some really good points. I definitely think that'll help. Like you were talking about, looking inward. That's a big thing. Is sometimes, if you really, really want to get better, like going over your replays is a really helpful thing because it's real. Like, I think you and I kind of
commentaries.
Yeah, exactly. Like
every single one of mine.
Yeah, and I think that's a kind of a benefit that you and I have is that we both make videos, so we kind of have to look at our gameplays again, and so I think when people are like, how do I get better? I'm like, honestly, while it may not be the most fun part of getting better, it's definitely like in terms of time versus efficiency, you can see every single grueling mistake you make in detail because you're doing nothing but looking at yourself and saying, wow, I can't believe I missed that last hit, or like, I can't believe I took free hits there, and when you're playing the game, sometimes that stuff slips across your mind. So
I got the added benefit of listening to myself reason why that mistake was correct. That's the best. When I'm listening to myself try and explain why the stupid play I just made was good. Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to leave a comment in my section. Yeah, that's dumb. Don't listen to me.
I was completely wrong there, but yeah, no, I definitely know where that is. You're like, you like go back and you're like, oh man, this game was so good. Like I'm gonna look at, like, I know for me, I know you do a lot of live stuff, but most of my stuff is post, and so I'll like post the gameplay, and I'll be going through recording, like, oh man, I went like 13-4 in this game. It's so good, and then like I'll look at that second death, and I'm like, wow, I literally just went like 100% stupid right there. We're just gonna go ahead and fast forward through that. Like, it was totally worth. But yeah,
that's the problem with streaming. Everybody gets to see the awful plays.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, I guess we've come down to the very last question I've got here, and this is probably the most beneficial question I've got here, and this will send people instantly from bronze to diamond here with this one answer. So, one for all, Renekton versus Nasus, who wins?
Please, I think honestly, What the team of Renekton would have to do is they would have to group and force objectives. That's like the only way they could win. But there's no way they could do that because there's 5 nationals. Need the minion wave and clear it instantly.
Oh my gosh, all your armor would be gone.
They just farm like crazy.
Oh
They'd be
my
gods. Nasus, oh my god.
Riot, please.
One day they will.
One day. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for your time. Like, it's been a really good time. I'm sorry it definitely went way longer than I thought it would, but hopefully, our viewers will really appreciate this, and hopefully, like we were talking about before, we can get some more videos together, and maybe pit our viewers against each other. Maybe we could do a Naxx versus Renekton 5v5. But yeah, again, if you guys want to check out my channel, I post gameplay commentaries and tips on how to get out of elo hell, the lower elos. So I'm not nearly the Renekton player as SoloRenektonOnly, but I still think I can provide some value for you guys with some other videos. So thanks again for watching, guys. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe to SoloRenektonOnly's channel if you haven't. If you're coming from my channel, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, go do that, because I have good gameplay and content too. So I really appreciate all the support, guys. And as always, guys, stay classy and keep winning.